Good afternoon, everybody. I mean, technically it's morning somewheres. So today's show is, as you can tell, it's not on a Tuesday morning like usual, but I had something else in the way, so I just moved it to this afternoon, and this is going to be a lot of fun today. I know that. We were talking a little bit before this started, and there's so many different ways we can take this. So hopefully people will pop in their questions and be a part of this and really make this a full show. Like I do all the time, I want to start with check in on those around you. Most of us know somebody who's been through something. It was a really tough time for them. Maybe it was last week, maybe it was last month, maybe it was beginning of the year, whenever. But when somebody goes through something like a medical issue, maybe something happened at work, there's so many different things that can knock us down. And people are really quick to be there up front. It's like they're there, supporting, we're here to help. But then after time, it's like the check-ins and all that gets kind of cold. It's kind of like they get forgotten. And yet, let's say it's a medical emergency. They're still dealing with it a month, 3 months, 6 months. It could be a year or two that they're dealing with this issue. It's like there's all the help up front, but then everybody disappears. Well, how does that make, if you were in those shoes, how would that make you feel? So think about those that are around you. And plus, many of us are so good at wearing a mask, at hiding when we're not doing well, when we're depressed. Check in on people, see how they're doing. My dear sister, Dr. Constance Leland, Level Up Academy, one of my sponsors, does so much out there. And that's exactly what she does. Level up those around her, level up those who watch her. It's all to level up the world, because we all have space to grow, and there's so many different ways to do it. Education, but she has even more. And my dear sister, and there's my beautiful sister. She does public relations. She has access to both her own PR system and can do releases. She has access to premium magazines where she can do releases. So reach out to her if you've got something that you're sitting there going, this is awesome, I'm ready to launch this. How do I get it launched? How do I publicize it? How do I reach out to her? Scan the QR code, reach out to CJ and have that conversation with her. Tell her what you've got, give her an idea, and she's there to be able to help you, promote you, make a lot of things happen. As it is, she and I do a lot of things together. Here is the latest book. This one, she was the lead on, Rebel with a Cause. 20 amazing authors, which you do get to meet one today. And within this book, there's 20 stories about what it means to be a rebel, to finally take the step, be a rebel, have a cause, and move into the world in amazing ways. This book is dedicated to our dear sis, Jess Harvey, because we lost her right during the beginning of it. She had signed up. She was all excited. And then God had other plans for her. So she's still a part of this book, because anybody who knew Jess, she was definitely a rebel. The Hounds of Business Community. Now here is a group that understands, as CJ will say all the time, collaboration over competition. And some people, it's like, competition, you got to do competition. No, you don't have to compete. You can be in the same business and still do competition because your customers aren't always the same. We are so diverse. This world is diverse. So Hounds of Business, this is bringing people together to create opportunities, see what kind of opportunities can be popped in. Mike Ashbranner, leader of the Hounds, the leader of the pack, reach out to him, reach out to the Hounds of Business. They're on LinkedIn. See what they're all about. Check them out. You just might find out this is the place that you belong. I will talk fitting in and I will talk belonging. And quite frankly, you want to belong. You don't want to fit in. I do this from a dear friend, Russ. Russ is supposed to go to New York this weekend to give a talk focused on cancer. Russ has dealt with cancer, and he's looking for sponsors for his live stream, his show. He's got great offers for it, all to basically help cover his costs to go speak in New York. Because anybody who knows Russ, anybody who's heard Russ talk, you get so much more from him besides information. His voice, the way he talks, it carries something within it that just lifts up the listener. So everybody who's going to be at that event, who's going to listen to Russ speak, is going to walk away feeling so much better than they did before they started, because that's who Russ is. Russ, the spirit flows through him, and he just has that way to lift others up. If you're in the San Diego area, maybe just Southern Cal, LA, on the 19th of October, a live event in San Diego. Scan the QR code, Scaling Success Through Servant Leadership. And what I love about these three speakers, one, it's my sis, Dr. Constance Leland is there. Also, Sandra Gonzalez is a Marine veteran. She's a veteran officer, and Dr. Dyer is a veteran Marine. So you have two retired Marines and CJ on the same stage. The things that you're going to learn from this, and I know there are discounts, so reach out to CJ or Sandra for what the discounts are to get in, especially for veterans and anybody who's familiar with Level Up Academy. Reach out to them. Discounts, that's taking place in just over a couple of weeks. And if you can make it, go there. You're going to be filled with golden nuggets. And then coming up, we are in the author's call right now. I showed you Rebel with a Cause. CJ and I, that's our third anthology that we've done this year. You can see all three anthologies on the right side of this picture. Beyond Boundaries, Thriving in Life's Gray Zone, Moving Beyond Boxes, The Journey to Self-Discovery, and Rebel with a Cause. And we are adding Against the Grain, Finding Belonging in a World of Resistance. I mean, it's so hard in this world to belong. We keep trying to fit in. Fitting in is trying to contort yourself to fit a box that others will accept. When you belong, when you truly are in a space that you can drop the mask, be who you were always created to be, and you have people with you who accept you for who you are, they're not going to judge you, they support you when you are down, you can say it, and they're still there, and they're listening, and they want to help. That's a space of belonging. So here we're looking for those stories. What did it take to move against a resisting world that is trying to compartmentalize us, box us, define us when we can't be defined? We need a space. We need to we need to resist the world and find that place where we belong, where we're safe. And it's going to be different for everybody. When you find it, it's the most amazing thing. And with that, I can't wait to bring up my guest. So I'm just not going to wait. How are you doing?
Hi, Susan. No, super excited here, listening to you. Can't wait to start this conversation. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, I know this is going to be a lot of fun because there's number one, you were in Rebel with a Cause, and I got to work with you on your chapter, which is an amazing story all in of itself. So it's one of 20 stories that if people haven't read it, they need to read this. And your topic, your focus on immigration, and really, I see it as adding a new light to something that I think a lot of people still don't really understand, even though it's part of the foundation of this country. So I'd love for you to kind of talk a little bit about yourself and kind of what got you to where you're at now, briefly.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to do that, Susan. For those that just came to watch, I am Sandra Bothe. Right now, I'm a neurolinguistic and mindfulness coach, also starting my public speaking career. And I am also publishing my own book this year. It's in the works. So all that is very excited, right? But it also sounds amazing, but it wasn't always, this way. That's not how I started my journey. I actually was working in corporate America. But to start from the beginning, I was born and raised in Colombia. And yes, I came from a humble upbringing. The situation in South America, there is a lot of struggles to provide for our families. And I remember as a kid, for Christmas, my dad, um, he will give us outfits, right? It wasn't expected that we will get toys, but outfits because he couldn't afford both. So it's funny because I tell the story to my son and I say, I didn't have toys for Christmas, but I have a nice outfit and we didn't wear PJs on Christmas Day. It's so different than what we do here in America, wearing PJs and opening lots of gifts. So yeah, that's part of my story. And but after I finished college, I had the opportunity to the opportunity of my life to join corporate America, to move to the US for a job opportunity. And really coming to the US, it was a hard challenge for me. I didn't speak fluent English at that time, but I was determined to succeed. So and to build a better future for myself and to help my family back there in Colombia. So over the years, I've been here for over a decade, and over the years, I worked hard, I learned, and I built a career in global logistics and planning and supply planning. But despite the achieving success in my roles, I start feeling that something was missing for me. I feel like I was stuck and I was not moving forward. So, and what I noticed in my corporate journey was that, myself and other immigrants like me, I noticed a crisis in confidence to speak up in meetings, mainly because self-doubt, self-judgment, perfectionism, unworthiness, loneliness, all of this. So that brought me to really start seek for solutions to improve my situation, right? To improve to overcome all these challenges. I start doing research. I start doing finding guidance from mentors, from coaches, to find my way out of this situation and to conquer these fears. And that's how that brought me to really start this new journey that I'm right now.
Well, yeah, I mean, you've been through so much, and what I love about this journey that you've started telling me about is that focus. It's like you know who you want to help because you're able to help people that are now starting a journey similar to yours. And,
Right.
and so what are some of the things that you really want to make happen now? What is that goal? Because I've heard speaking and you're talking about writing. What are some of the things that you really want to make happen? Um,
Yeah, today my passion is really and my purpose is really to help professional immigrants to unblock themselves, because I feel that that's what was happening to me for many years when I just moved to the US. I was totally blocked. Um, I needed to overcome so many challenges to accelerate my growth. So starting by embracing who I was, many challenges that we have here, whether it's the language, just embracing myself, knowing that I was speaking English and my English was good enough to be a second language, and I needed to use my skill more and more instead waiting to be perfect. I needed to use it more with my authenticity, speak more and improve it, right? With
right.
time. So I start using my voice with more confidence, no matter what my accent, sounded like. Just it was about embracing my superpower, which is my authenticity, and that's how I started this journey of overcoming the fear, and that's why I want to really help people, because this change is possible. It's about mindset, and we all can achieve this. So this is what I want to really inspire people to do.
Well, yeah, and I've seen that with what you're doing, um, and when it comes to getting people out of their shells, basically, because that sounds like really what you're doing is working with others who have walked your path, but help them to move beyond whatever shell is holding them back, right?
Correct. Yeah, I want to ensure that professional immigrants like me do not face what I face. I want to empower them. There are tools for that, and we all deserve success, and there are tools for that. So I want to share the tools that I learned, that I research, and just now it became my passion. I am like that. When I know something is good, I just want to share it with the world.
Well, and we kind of talked a little bit at the beginning too with um, with belonging, because we talked a little bit about belonging because I've been talking about that, and that's the next book. And CJ and I have talked about this a lot. What you're doing is helping people to feel more comfortable where they are and to have more of that sense of belonging, right?
Correct. I think there are two parts, right, of the professional journey of immigrants. We know that corporations are doing a lot of work to make, the minority groups feel part of the organization, that they belong, and that is great. We also need from the side of the minorities to start embracing who we are, to start just being, right, so that we have this we this common effort is going to show results, right? We're going to really remove the mindset, um, whether it's feeling that the system doesn't work for us, right? I know the system is not perfect, but if we remove this mindset and we just start working with ourselves and really, remove these barriers and really embrace who we are, embrace our journey, I think that we're gonna have a wonderful result and things are gonna start changing. So it's both, really.
Right. And what are some of the um, what are some of the biggest changes you think can be made to really help others, to for an organization to make some changes that you would like to see, or you'd like to even help make happen for other immigrants, and even those that are in a company but aren't feeling like they really quite belong there, that you're trying to fit in but it's just not quite working?
Yeah, that is a good question. Like I said, organizations are really dedicating a lot of efforts and resources, and we want this to be a year-long effort, not just the month of Heritage Month or the month that every ethnicity have their own month of the year, right? We want this to be something that goes all year long. Um, for example, feel comfortable when when you're walking through the organization. Everybody's looking at you like you belong, right? I can tell you in my own experience. Sometimes I was walking by a hallway, and sometimes you can feel that people look away, right?
Right.
I don't know. It could be part of the mindset of the person that feel like it's going to be ignored or feel invisible, but sometimes this is real. Sometimes this is happening, right? So microaggression in the organizations, we need to not be afraid of speaking up when this is happening to us, right? We need to put that, that people know what's happening, because I experience, or know myself, thankfully, because I kind of protect myself from microaggressions, but I know some colleagues that experience these things, whether it's somebody making comments about the accent, or if somebody barely speak English well to be working in this environment. So we need to be able to speak up and you know advocate for ourselves and really put this out there, that people stop doing these things. They probably, there's a lot of bias. People don't sometimes is aware that certain comments, they're not really you know kind to the minorities.
Right. Well, and you touched on something there, with some people, they get so wrapped up around language, or how somebody speaks, how they address, how they, and they're, maybe they don't, I just say, maybe they don't speak the same or are the same as the local region, because I just, it can happen within a country besides immigration. So when you have that situation, a lot of people forget that just because somebody's language, native language, doesn't quite align with the place that they're working, doesn't mean that they can't be the smartest person in the room and are really the right person that that organization needs for whatever that role is, to help with a critical issue, all of that. So I feel like too many
Yeah, I like
places.
what you said there because Susan is true. We cannot equate an accent with how smart a person is, right?
Exactly.
The fact that we can articulate and sound, like we from here, it doesn't mean the person is not that smart. I follow somebody in LinkedIn that it's no, he works with Japanese, right? He
Mhm.
teach communication to Japanese, and he speaks about all these ways in how people can make more welcome the people that had these challenges with the language. And of course he also treats the other side, which is the side of the minorities, how we had to also bring to the table ourselves and just participate and really learn how the culture is, because here in the US the culture is very different. So we need to be more open to even contradict somebody. If we think that our idea is valuable, bring it to the table. Don't be afraid. Just contribute to the discussion.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think a lot of people too, they need to understand, however however they view somebody walking into their business, they can be viewed that same way if they were the ones working in a different country, a different place where the accents, the languages are different, and so they're the ones out of place. And to understand that they could be the smartest person in the room, but they may not be viewed that way because others, they don't speak clearly enough. And it's like, we need to put some of this stuff away, because our experiences open up so much that we can talk about, that we can do to help others, and the training in the background. So that's, I remember talking with somebody a couple of years ago. I said I wanted to do a post on that, the importance of understanding an accent does not mean that's not the smartest person in the room. And they're like, yes, do it, because they knew what it was like to be on that receiving side of that kind of a judgment.
Right.
Is that is that something that you've run across?
Um, in my personal experience, I sometimes notice impatient in people. Um, I prefer sometimes to speak slow to that I can articulate and pronounce the words better. So I used to have this colleague that she looks impatient when I was talking to her. We were very close. We were working very close in the same team. And one day I just pause and look at her and say, "Are you all right?" It- because she looks really anxious, and that she stopped doing that. Right. I had to
Right.
do it because I just feel like she was very impatient, just to allow me to elaborate. So my point, and I had to tell her, are you all right? And I think she got the point.
But okay, so there's something else that you really did, um, for yourself, that others need to understand, is to be able to explain that, or get across somehow, you have a reason for going slower. And if they just allow their patience to take over instead of being anxious, things will be amazing that way.
Yeah, definitely things will be a lot better for us. But yeah, we have to. I mean, it's like everything else, right? We can get to a middle, point where we both working in, the issue, right? But yeah, just to be a little more patient with people. Um, and like I said, this person I follow in LinkedIn, he makes suggestions like, "Hey, minorities can bring a lot of great ideas, different points of view in these meetings, so we need to be more patient and really sometimes be kind to use more simple language sometimes, because if you're going to come to a conversation with a lot of terms that are very difficult, um, just try to make, and even ask, did did I make myself clear, or things like that, just to make the person feel more comfortable. And the same way from our side is also, just if something is not clear, just say it. Can you please say that again? It's not clear to me yet.
And I like that too, because being able to sit back and say, can you say that again? Because it doesn't matter if you're a native speaker or not. There are times that people will either talk too fast, or it's just how they speak. You don't catch what they said. It's like, can you say that again? Everybody should feel safe enough to ask that question. Can you say that word again, or can you explain a little bit more?
Or
Because
even use another word. I don't know that one.
exactly. But that's that same thing. It's like it's the communication. So at this point, we're talking about the importance of cross-cultural communication in many ways as part of this.
Right.
Um, yeah, and like Ollie says, patience and listening. And then there's so many other things that can be involved, and people don't always recognize that, and sometimes we don't even know that we could have neurodivergence. I mean, mine wasn't diagnosed until CJ told me to get it checked, and so it wasn't until April. It's like, yeah, I do have ADHD, and there may be other stuff, but at least that's the one I know right now, and now I know how it affects me.
It's very common. I realize that. Um, yeah, I never talking about that topic just for a little bit. I do have it too, but I never really realized that until now. I always thought that I was a great multitasker, and the industry that I worked for many years, being a multitasker was something, to my benefit, because I could just jump from here to there and really manage a lot of things at the same time. But now with my son, he started having, as I start having notes from teachers about, being, unable to stay still and listening, and we start checking on that, and I realized, oh wait, I have that. It comes from me, but yeah. But he's growing, and I don't know, it's getting better for him. So I even took him to one of my trainings, and we were so happy that he was the whole day. It was all adults in this training, but they can start in this kind of training as young as 12 years old, and he's 10 and a half. So we bring him a little earlier. But I wanted to introduce these topics to him about neurolinguistic, and he made it through the training, with a big promise, of course. But he was really great, and he really took a lot of takeaways from that training. So yeah, I don't know about this disorder, but I definitely have it, and I embrace it, because it gives me, in my case, a lot of energy. I can work for hours, and I can do many things. So Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be different for everybody. Mine is definitely not the same as what CJ's got. But the other thing too is we kind of go down this path a little bit. Well, it's like culturally talking about anything mental health wise could also be something that's difficult for somebody to accept or to do, right?
Yeah.
So how would somebody how would you talk with somebody to say you can kind of tell maybe that there's something, and if you know that culturally the idea that there could be anything, any kind of a mental health issue is difficult for them to even consider, how would you think about being able to try and get them to at least consider and maybe have it checked? Because if quite frankly, knowing, this is a case where knowing allows you to ignite the awareness to do something and to understand,
Mm-hmm.
maybe even understand why so many of your problems in the past, um, now you know why, and you can stop worrying about it and just focus on now instead of the past.
That's true. And the great thing is, even for in companies talking about, the minority groups, there are also ERGs that support disabilities, right? So that is something that a few years back there was not a lot of that. So it really encouraged people to share, what the challenges are with disabilities, and this disability we just spoke about is something that people is not open to share that. I myself, the old me wouldn't share that right now, but you know
Right.
what, is something that I have, and I just want to embrace it because it has many positive things too. I researched it. I have a couple of books reading about this, and actually, it has really great, really positive things. This condition. So, it's all how you look at things. You know, it's the perspective of things.
Yeah, that perspective is everything. And for some, the idea, I think you can take it in a different direction too, because mental health can be a disability. And so that may be why a lot of people want to stay away from those kind of topics, and they don't want to consider that they could have anything neurodiverse because they don't want to be considered disabled.
Terrible, right?
But when you create a space of belonging where you can drop the masks, then it should make everything, you be able to engage better as yourself, not just sitting back and kind of hiding in the corner. You can actually engage more if you're not hiding these things.
Yeah, I totally agree. Imagine a work and a world where you can come, as your true self. Imagine all the amazing gifts, that we can have from everybody when we can just, give what we truly are, and really be able to be in the work environment. I mean, everybody benefits from that. We live a more happy life, and can contribute in ways that are, you can even think about, right? When everybody can really bring all those gifts.
Right. Now, kind of going back to some of what you're doing, what are some of the things that you really want to do over the next few years? Because I've heard you want to do more on the speaking circuit, right?
Right. Well, right now I'm working in some projects to amplify the themes that I was talking before about, embracing authenticity, to build confidence, to use our voice, to speak up. And I'll be doing that in my writing, in my speaking engagements, and I'm also started developing some programs, some training programs that I will be sharing soon. That's all the things that right now is what I'm becoming really passionate about after going in this journey of transformation of myself, and I'm really excited about all this work that I'm taking on now.
Yeah, you can see the bosses here.
I don't see the comments.
Well, I'm putting them up on the screen though too. There should be a box off to the right and up at the top that says comments. So you should be able to click that and see all the comments that are coming in. But it's great with everybody that we have and the things that we can talk about. And there's a lot because we've got Ollie and April and Mike and CJ and I know I've missed a few others who have been in the comments. So it's great seeing everybody here with Ollie and April. But I like what you're talking about and being able to speak on those stages and quite frankly lift others up, or as CJ would say, level up others with what you can do to help them.
Yeah, no, CJ is a great leader in LinkedIn, and that's what she does, right? With everyone, with her community, and it's very inspiring. It inspired me to, to start also in my community to do just that, and really share and help each other, right? We all immigrants, we came to this country to live our best life,
Mm-hmm.
and we just need to overcome this mindset, embrace who we are, and start working in removing all these cultural beliefs that we have about ourselves to be able to shine. And it's possible. It's possible to do it, to use our voice, embrace who we are, and no change in just be you, and embrace who you are, and speak up, and let people know who you are.
Exactly.
Don't worry about what people think, right? You will be amazed that most people will embrace you when you embrace yourself.
I like that. And that's true. When you're comfortable with yourself and you can embrace yourself, people will see it and it makes a big difference because you're not walking around with a mask. You're you're being yourself. That doesn't mean you're spewing everything out. It just means you're there and you're not hiding who you are. Um, and then you've talked about your book. When did you start the book that you're working on now?
I started, what is that? A month and a half, I think, or a month. Um, it's just I got so much inspiration after after doing my chapter, and I find that I have way a lot more to say and to share. So that is really inspired me, and the process of writing in for Rebel with a Cause was a beautiful, experience for me, where I really came more clear about who I am and how this journey that I've been on has been a gift, right? To be where I am today. So if I don't have any of those challenges, so things will be very different. So embrace them and really conquer them has been a gift for me, and inspired me to write this book that I'm working on, and I can't wait to share more. For now, I'm not sharing more, but yeah, it's something that happens because of the chapter. And being a writer is something that I it was always in my mind, but I never got to start it. It was something that I never wrote a goal, and I did this after doing last year coaching. I wrote a big goal in January or December, and then that goal, one of those goals was to start writing, and then things start happening. Just met CJ, and she invited me to this project, and now I'm thinking about my book. So it's amazing. Yeah,
I
it's
we hear this a lot, and CJ will. I'm pretty sure she'll back me up on this because so many authors they work with us that first time, and then we've got some that they just keep coming back. We've got others who, like you, is like, okay, now I've got the writing bug. I want to start the next one. I'm ready to jump into something. I want to, whatever it is. When you think about writing that chapter, though, how was that process? And was it an emotional process for you?
it was, and right now I was talking to my mentor this week. Um, how sharing even with her some parts of the things I've been writing is very emotional. Is a very strong emotions come. So the same with the chapter. But the beautiful thing about writing that chapter is that when it was finished, and I think I shared this with you guys in one of our chats. When I was done, and as I reading, the last part that I add is how the perception or the way I saw my mom my whole life change. It
Right,
changed because, like I say in the book, I sometimes we feel like our mentors are people who are superior or with big education and titles, and my mom was nothing like that. My mom was a humble woman, and I even get like this every time I talk about that. So she's a humble woman, but she really is the foundation of who I am, of my love for education, for always growing, wanting to grow and pursue the education to pursue a better life. And she was my foundation. Even in the story that I shared in the book, I was not supposed to even finish high school because I was a girl,
right.
and in that time, my dad he was a very loving man, responsible and everything, but he has his own way of seeing things because the way he was raised to. So he just made that comment to my mom that what was the point for me to finish high school. But my mom said no, she has to finish just like my brother. And and that was it. I did. And I just remember when I heard that conversation, for me was like, my whole world was you know over me. Like I just feel very afraid because as a little girl I had so much. I don't know why, but I had so much big dreams. So that's how writing this chapter brought those memories to me. And really looking back, feeling more appreciative of my journey and what I have achieved, because sometimes we are so hard in ourselves and we don't recognize that we have achieved things, great things, right? It doesn't
Mhm.
have to be great for other people, but for us, and even for other people, they still they think, yeah, you have achieved a lot, but we always, humans, we always want more, and we don't stop and look at what we already have achieved.
And you got to meet CJ too, so that was.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people, they run into that same thing when they work, especially when they're working with us. What I've seen with a lot of authors is something very similar. They talk about how once they start writing, once they start digging into stuff, sometimes remembering things that they had forgotten, until you start kind of unearthing some stuff to write that chapter, to have that focus, and
Yeah.
then to see that, wait a minute, things are a little bit different in the past than they were, than what I what I was thinking. I've always thought it was this way, but now that you kind of
Exactly.
put a magnifying glass on the past, it almost allows them to kind of let go of the past so they can stay in the present.
Yeah, no, writing is definitely an amazing tool, um, a beautiful tool to find that peace and to really have things in your life more clear. It's amazing. It was a beautiful process. I have done it, but not in this way before. And the more you do it, it really changed you, and really it spark your creativity. Amazing.
Yeah. And it sparks more than that. It sounds like it ignited your passion to just keep writing. And
Yeah,
I'm used to hearing that now. So many people, either they're waiting for the next book to show up, or they're ready to go off and start their own book. And we're here. It's like, whatever we can do. CJ and I, we just love seeing that ignition, that fire to keep going, because you've got so much more to tell and to add, that people need to read, because somebody's waiting for your story.
yeah, no, it's definitely something that for me it was writing is becoming a game changer, um, in my journey. Is and I don't know, people who never tried, just start by journaling, every morning. Just nothing, too elaborated. Just write your thoughts. Just write what is in your mind every morning. I start that process like that. Just every morning writing, what my day was going to be, what I was expecting. And it's funny because when you start writing it, things get clear in your mind.
Right.
You see things very differently in a more positive way. So, or even if you just are upset about something, you let it in the pages, and then you feel better. And then it's not all that bad, and you change your mind, like, oh, it's not that bad, this situation, and you approach it differently. So it's really interesting process.
Yeah, I've loved it. I love writing, and being able to, well, the first thing that I wrote actually ended up being more of book length. But when I wrote it, there was so much emotion started coming up and coming out, because I'm thinking of the things that happened in the past to why I am how I am now. Not not to complain that they happened, but just to understand what happened. And I think what almost everybody seems to be getting is something similar when they write in anthologies that are really focused on their story. How did you get from there to here? And that's what Revel is. That's what Against the Grain is. Beyond boundaries, moving beyond boxes. It's all that story of how did you get from point A to here? And I won't even say point B, because this right now could be point Z plus 12 for all I know. So how was that journey for you?
Um, sorry, Susan, I lost you for a little bit.
Not a problem. I was talking about how that journey, how writing in these stories is really our journey from point A to where we are now.
Right.
And it's going to be different for everybody. But the emotions that will get drug up, for some will be overwhelming, for some it's not that it's not such a big deal. I'm kind of curious, how was that emotional journey for you?
For me, I think that this happened for a reason, right? I've been working on my personal development and growth the last years, and I think that I was prepared to face, these emotions. And I think that for people who, who start this the same journey, it happens in a moment where you're ready to face these emotions, to deal with them. Is some people is not ready, and it's fine, right? But when you are ready, you're ready, and you start, just letting this happen, and it heals you, and it just allow you to move forward in your life. So yeah, I think for me, I was ready for this to happen.
The timing was there, and I think you're right on that. For most people, it is, they can honestly sit down and go, okay, now that I'm doing this, it's the right time, because maybe they weren't equipped until now to deal with those emotions, or to deal with what they find, or maybe it's now that they're able to forgive whatever happened in the past and move forward, because that's all a part of this journey.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. That is a factor, just to be ready for, in whether is embracing these emotions, and first thing is be ready for the change when you're just tired of, you know um, being in this situation, whatever situation is that you are, and just tired of that, and want really the change. Then I think that's the moment when you're ready to move forward, and face the emotions and all the work that comes with, working within. Yeah.
Yeah, I know we're closing in on the hour. Um,
Oh, it went fast.
it does go fast. It
It
goes,
was.
but before we close, I want to make sure that you let everybody know how to get a hold of you, and if you've got any kind of last minute nuggets, um, somebody you want to speak a message to, please.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, no, that's wonderful. I just want to tell the listeners today, thank you so much for tuning in. And I'm available. I'm actually, for everyone that is listening, I want to give a complimentary hour to chat with me. And check, what's going on with you, and have a nice conversation. I can give my anybody that wants, chat with me for free. We can text. My number is 973-995-7954. And or you can also follow me in LinkedIn. Send me a DM, and let's get in contact and start a conversation. I'm happy to do that.
Awesome. Yeah, and I know I suspect you've got um, some plans coming up while you've got the book, and so it's going to be really fun to see what happens with this book.
Yeah, it's so exciting.
Where
Exciting
it
things
goes.
coming. It's gonna be an exciting 2025 for
I love
sure.
it. Yes, it will. Yes, it will. And so for everybody that's been here, it's like, thank you for coming. It's been great having you here and all the great comments. Next week, I will be back at my normal 9 a.m. Pacific time, where we're going to talk more about belonging and this new anthology that's coming up. And hey, I may have a surprise guest or two. You never know, which is the fun part of that. So it's gonna be a lot of fun next week. But for now, thank you everybody for being here.
Thank you, Suzanne. It was wonderful.
Thank you for coming, Sandra. I'm so happy that we got to make this work, and it's been
Yeah,
a lot of fun.
yeah, it
So,
was definitely fun and really great conversation. Thank you so much.
oh, thank you too. I loved it. And for everybody else, I will see you in a week. Bye.
Bye bye.